My friend, welcome to the world's best kept secret podcast, a podcast that brings you exclusive interviews from experts all over the world with life-changing work that you didn't even know existed. I'm your host, Prima Jope, a partner for those that are ready to take their life-changing work in front of those whose life or business depends on it. Please follow or subscribe for more. I have known Harriet for a while, and the first time I knew about her work, I watched one episode. I was cooking, and then 3 hours later, my husband was looking for me, and I was like, "Why are you looking for me?" It's like, "You've been gone for 3 hours." And you know what I was doing? I was listening to Harriet and jumping from podcast to podcast to podcast. And so I started hunting her down, and finally, we have Harriet. The one word I can use to describe Harriet is the contagious speaker. Harriet, welcome to the Best Kept Secret podcast. I'm excited to have you today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You're so great. Appreciate being here.
Let us start from the place of how do you help people?
I really help people figure out who they are, recapture their enthusiasm and passion for their life and their work, and get them set up for success, and not necessarily financial success, but just success in their life where they feel whole again. I saw the movie when Stella got her groove back, and I thought, oh my gosh, that is me. I am lost. I am tired, and I need something to get my groove back. And Angela Bassett, who played Stella in the movie, man, she was on fire, and I just wanted to be her. And that is what happened, is that I thought, you know what, you are existing, you're on autopilot, you got to get yourself back in shape and get back in shape in all areas of your life, because I'm speaking to people about doing the very same things that I should be doing myself.
I remember that conversation I listened to when you were like, you ask someone, how are you? And they start telling you about their kids.
You know, when we have kids, we will, if somebody says, how you doing? We start talking about our kids and how they're doing. When we are having a great time at work and people say, so how are you? You start talking about your work, but you forget about who you are as a person. And you know, it's crazy, because all these things I have been through and done, and one day woke up and realized, you know, I matter just as Harriet, not as somebody's partner, not as somebody's mom, not as, you know, I'm just Harriet. You know, when you get started as a speaker or a coach or whatever, people will go, well, so what's your hook? And I used to say, I don't have one. And they were so disappointed. And, you know, I've never been Miss America. I've never been in a fire. I've never climbed Mount Everest. You know, I'm just normal. So what I think is, not necessarily that I'm just super authentic, but it's like, I'm just super real in terms of I have everyday struggles just like everybody else. And that is what people relate to. It took me a long time to be vulnerable in that fact, because, you know, when you stand on stage, you're supposed to have all your stuff together. But I think people relate more when you let them know that, yeah, I got stuff together in some respects, but in other parts of my life, I don't have it all together.
You made me realize is all these people saying authenticity and all of that, but you hear someone and what they're saying is my life is perfect, and you know you need to do this to be better. But deep in my heart, I've always thought like, oh, yeah, like right now you seem too perfect for me to even relate to. And I recall when I was listening through your podcast, the podcast you had been on, you were like, you know what, I have struggled with that thing and I still struggle with it. And I was like, okay, that's different. And I really, really loved it. Before I get ahead of myself, the way that I understand Harriet's work, Harriet gets women back in the group. At some point, you've forgotten who you are. At some point, you have become the CTO, CFO. Way too long that you forgot who you are. You've become Mrs. So-and-so. You've become the mother of this person and this person and this person. And in the end, you really have forgotten who you are. And that is where Harriet comes in. Harriet helps you get back in the group. helps you shine the lights that she knows you have inside you, which you've decided to put down because of something else. And she says, let's get back in the groove. And once you're in the groove, she now says, let's now make you the most contagious speaker alive. And so I love her work. I can't wait to dive in. I think she's the most hilarious human being I have encountered. Harriet, how did we get here?
Man, I have had several careers, mainly because I'm interested in so many things. Mm-hmm. And so that is one thing when people try to box me in, I revolt. And even as a speaker, people always say, man, you don't do anything like other people. It's like, I know I am the rebellious speaker too. When everybody says you have to do this, or you have to go on this path, or you have to buy this, I'm like, no, I don't. And I started off as a probation officer, law enforcement. Then I did youth programs for the state of Mississippi. Then I became a flight attendant because why not? And then after a while, I did consulting with youth programs and safety programs and things like that. Then, I became a speaker, and then I became a pharmaceutical rep because I didn't feel like I should travel as much as I was, because I had an 8-year-old child at the time. And so then after 3 years of doing that, I realized I am super unhappy. So I went back to speaking. I went to a counselor during that time, and she said, why are you so unhappy? Because you've got exactly what you say you want. You've got security, you've got stability with this job. You are doing fantastic with your sales, moving up, becoming a mentor. What's wrong with you? And I said, I don't know. I just want to be a speaker again. And what she said to me was so profound, because she said, I'm going to think about this, and I want you to think about this. And when we come back next week, I want an answer. So when I went back next week, she said, so have you thought about it? And I was like, yeah, but I still don't know. I don't know why I want to do it. I just want to do it. And she said, I know why. She said, you feel like it's too late for you, but you know how to save everybody else. You know how to give everybody else direction, but you think it's too late for you because you've messed up along the way. And I just burst into tears, and I was like, man, she's right. I knew all the things to do. I didn't have the courage to do them, or I would do a little bit and not go all the way. But when I started going all the way and in doing what gave me joy, that is the first time that I remember experiencing freedom, because I wasn't doing what my mom wanted me to do. I wasn't on the path my dad thought I should be on, or my husband, or my friends. I started doing what I wanted to do. That was the beginning of freedom. And a lot of times we think full calendar, full life. I had a full calendar and an empty life.
Wow.
So you just have to back away and figure out, because you lose yourself because you're so busy. You're trying to prove yourself and win, and it's just not worth it. So that's what I learned.
I have heard you say, I'm amazing in other people's lives, not so great in mine. And I thought, what? Tell us more about that. Like, where do you keep saying that? I'm amazing in other people's lives, in my own, not so great. Where does that come from?
I think some of it is, I have been around people who, okay, this is where it's kind of hard, because I realized when I was a young adult, because I had a secretary at that time when I was a youth coordinator, and she said that she asked a few people, like, well, how did you meet Harriet and stuff? Because I put on conferences and brought in people from all over the country. And they would say, well, we were at this meeting and I saw all these people talking to this one person. And Debbie was like, Harriet, it was always you that they said people are just surrounded by you. I went to a conference and they did, all the feng shui stuff, and I didn't understand all that. But the girl doing the feng shui said, I want to do a reading for you. And I said, okay, cool. Well, she did it. And she said, here's how I'm going to sum up your reading. You will be on a very crowded bus. and a crazy person is going to enter the bus. They
Mhm.
are going to head straight to you because they feel like you look like safety.
Wow.
And so that is, I mean, I just was like, oh my goodness. And my friends were laughing, going, oh my gosh, that's totally her. I can relate to whoever, whenever, I don't care how old you are, young, where you come from, what you look like. I don't care. I just build relationships with people, or I can see what people
Mm.
may need, but they don't see it. And so I'm fabulous in other people's lives. I help so easily, but in my own life, I'm like making excuses or not aware of it. Or I can't tell you how many times, people say something like, just like you said, you loved the podcast. Well, I can listen to the podcast and I can come up with every terrible thing I did or every thought I meant to say, but went in a different direction because we're so critical about ourselves. Um, and it's so weird, I think, in movies, because the line that Julia Roberts did in Pretty Woman, she said, it's so much easier to believe the negative about yourself.
Mm.
And so it's easier for me to help other people than to really look at myself and maybe what to do. Plus, gosh, in this industry, I have been around so many pompous people that it drives me insane. And so I will go so far the other way because I don't want anybody to think that I think I'm conceited, or like I'm all that. I just want to hang out with people. So
When I look
yeah.
at Harriet, it keeps hitting my head. She is the best kept secret.
Oh,
You
thank you,
hang
honey.
around her for any amount of time, you're gonna get hooked. And so now I warn you, if you're on this podcast, you're about to get hooked. Harriet, I want to take you back to like getting back in the groove.
Mhm.
I want to take you back to being on autopilot. I want to take you back to really getting lost in life. Tell
Yeah.
us how do I even know that I've lost my identity and I'm just moving on autopilot? If I was in a job today that paid me super well but burnt me out, if I was a mother of 5 kids and that's all I can remember about my life, if I was married to Mr. Pompous and that is all people see when they look at me is Mrs. Pompous, where do I start to get back
You
in
know,
the groove?
I think we all know when we're just existing,
Hmm.
when we're not feeling like we're doing what we're supposed to do, but then we think, well, I'll do that later. Well, when my kids get in school, or well, when my husband goes out of town, then I'll do something fun or go out with friends. Or we think there's another time that's more conducive for me to fulfill myself because I'm a nurturer, I'm a mom, I'm a woman. Nurturing and emotional stuff is in our DNA. Well, we kind of know when we're existing, but we don't know how to get out of it. Or we're afraid that if we try to take time for ourselves, then people will think we're selfish. And sometimes people will accuse you of being selfish. And there comes a point when you kind of go, you know what, you're right. I'm being selfish because I need this time.
Mm.
So when you continually are doing something and you're not getting joy out of it, and I don't mean like joy like, oh my gosh, I'm so fulfilled, but just if you can't wake up in the morning and be happy about going to your job, or happy about starting your day, or at
Mm.
least looking forward to certain things, you're on autopilot, you're existing. And so how do you get out of it? There's times when you've got to have your trusted tribe of friends. And we're in such a surface kind of society right now where we think we're great if we have, so many thousand friends or whatever on
Mm.
Facebook or Instagram and followers. But you got to have your tribe, 4 or 5 people that you hadn't talked to in 5 years. But if you picked up the phone and called them, they would be there for you, or
Yeah.
they would tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And there is one girl that I love going, well, actually two that I love going shopping with for clothes, because I will walk out of the dressing room and they'll go, take it off. I don't even ask why. I just turn around and take it off. So we got to have that tribe. If you don't have that tribe, get back to the people who used to be in your core group that brought you just friendship, loyalty. Stop trying to make people like you. I had a counselor a long time ago say to me, Harriet, everyone did not like Jesus. Why do you think everyone's going to like you? And I'm like, well, okay, I guess he's a little more important than I am. But we get in this factor that if everyone doesn't love us, then there's something wrong with us. No, you just may not be the right person for everybody. So you got to wake up and look at what people say about you, because people will say things about you repeatedly, whether it's positive or negative, like, oh, you're so blank. You're so good at, Then start looking at that, reflect on it, get quiet with yourself. And that sounds so hokey, but I'm serious. Get quiet with yourself. When you're driving, don't have the radio on. When you're going for a walk, just enjoy the surroundings, because that is when the most thoughts come into our brain. And I am old school. I walk around with a notebook and a notepad or Post-it notes. I am constantly writing things down, because if I don't do that, I will lose it. And then I know how to go back. And I will do a folder. I learned to do a folder of all my thoughts. And every day I stick stuff in a folder. I envy people who can keep scrapbooks and all that fun stuff. I have a manila folder full of Post-it notes and notebook paper. And at the end of the month, I go back and I look at that, because that gives me a foundation of what happened in the month, where I was happy, where I was sad, what emotion I had, what maybe I need to work on. It's really just a lot of self-reflecting without anybody else giving you input.
But the other thing you said, which I really like, is start being with yourself. Start practicing some stillness. Turn off the radio.
Yep.
Do you know how hard that can be for someone?
Oh, goodness. It's so hard for a lot of people. Even just getting ready in the morning or getting ready in the afternoon to go out, you got to have music playing. No, turn it off. Try for 10 minutes, because that sounds so crazy, but 10 minutes can be a long time when you're used to noise 24/7. And just really, I just continue to say, just really figure out what's in your brain. Because shoot, I want people to like me. I want 1 million followers. I want all that kind of stuff. But what for? It's just nothing more than a little bit of ego, pride, status, and who cares? That stuff goes away. It just does. Like right now, if I move to a different city, nobody's going to know who the heck I am. So I don't have to prove myself. I just have to be myself, and I will attract the people who I need. And if people come into my life that I don't need, that immediately make me feel yucky, then I don't need to try to make them like me. The great philosopher Medea, if any of you know Tyler Perry and all the Medea movies, love because if people want to leave your life, let them walk away. I thought that was amazing, because so many times I have wanted to keep people, or, maybe if I act a little bit like this, they'll come back, or whether it's a romantic or, another kind of relationship. No, just let them walk away. And if they want to come back, they will. And if not, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. So.
Wow. What is my step one to being with myself? Being by myself, being still, being in solitude, maybe, and not feeling the desire to do something about it. How do I start?
Well, I think there will be a desire in the beginning. There will be. And you have to fight it. Just like if you want to lose weight, you're not going to eat a pan of brownies. And you're going to have to fight it within you not to go in there and just get one brownie that ends up being 2 brownies, and ends up, for me at least, the whole pan or close to it. But you really have to take it slow. Sometimes, carpe diem, one day at a time. No, maybe it's 30 minutes at a time. I don't know. Maybe it's 5 minutes today. That's the first step, is just take some time. Stop putting these big goals on yourself or, I've got to do this. No, just take 5 minutes and just be still, whether it's to go to the bathroom and hide, whether it's hiding in your closet, whether it's going in the attic and pretending that you're organizing something, get away from people. And there are times that we don't even think about, like we're in the car line, maybe to pick up kids from school or sports, or we're in the car line at the pharmacy to pick up our medicine. There's all kinds of times we just don't take it. The 5 minutes that you're on your phone looking and scrolling could be 5 minutes that you're off your phone focusing on yourself. George Bush, previous president in America, said, if the president of the United States has 30 minutes to exercise, then you do too. And I thought, well, yeah, he's probably busier than I am.
Yeah, for sure.
It is actually taking, not the intention, but taking the intention into action and then working your way up. That I just think that's number one, is putting something in action. I don't like the thing, knowledge is power. No, it's not. It is information. It's power when you put it into action.
So do one thing, squeeze your feet, hold your breath, hold yourself. I don't know. It would just be like,
don't eat the brownie one day, or just don't turn on the radio. See how long you can go without having noise. Give your phone to your husband or your partner or your friend and see how long you can go without feeling anxious. I do that with teenagers and it is crazy. They can't go 30 seconds.
I want to dive into, I've lost my fire. I have lost it. I don't know who I am. I've lost the groove. I am just surviving right now. Step one is try and build yourself. Start trying to build yourself. I want you to take me a little bit of the steps I need to take from where I am right now to finding the light in my heart, to finding the joy I need to find, the joy I had maybe 10 years ago. What's that process like? What should I do to kind of recalibrate and find myself? Because I know this is the powerful work you do for women. So what does that process look like in 3 minutes or 2 minutes or whatever time we have?
My senior year in high school, I had the best English teacher ever. And every single class period, the beginning for 5 minutes, we wrote. Didn't matter what we wrote about. It didn't matter, if we did full sentences or bullets, we just wrote. We weren't supposed to go back and read it. And he didn't collect it. It was just for us. 5 minutes, write about anything that comes into your brain. I do that a lot of times still. I just take 5 minutes. I don't like journaling. It's too much of a commitment. But I can take 5 minutes when I'm really trying to sort things out and just write. And if you want to create a topic, then you can create a topic. If not, you just let your mind go. Then you go back. Maybe you don't have time right then, but maybe you go back at the end of the day and you see what you wrote. You've got to do some work to reflect on what it is that's happening to you. And existing, so many adults do that. We just exist because we think we're in a situation that we can't get out of. No, you probably can get out of it. You probably can change, but it might take some work. And that's where we stop. Where we keep hoping for something to change. And there's a fabulous book that helped me a long time ago when I was in a relationship that was very trying. And it's called Boundaries. Dr. Henry Cloud changed my life. Boundaries. We respect other people's boundaries, but we don't even set boundaries for ourselves. And that is one too, is to set a boundary, like, this is what I will accept. And this is the line. And I actually had him tell me later on, it was like, you would tell me, this is the boundary. This is the line. If you cross this line, I'm leaving. But he said, you would always move the line. And I knew, you taught me that the line was never going to stop. You would move it because you kept wanting me to change. He said, if you would have stuck to your boundary, then I may have done my behavior differently. Now, he may
Wow.
not have, but the deal was I said, if you do this, I'm leaving. And then I would say, oh, but really, I mean, here. Okay, here. This is really the boundary. So
Mm.
that set your boundary. What are you willing to accept? What are you not willing to accept?
Mm.
What are you willing to live with for a little bit? Because, change, you can't expect change to happen overnight. You can't expect change to happen without hurt
Mm.
because somebody may not be ready to change with you. And it doesn't mean that you walk away. I'm very much on commitment.
Mm.
But when you're not receiving and you're only giving,
Mm.
then you will be drained. You will not be able to get your groove back. Set a boundary. This is what I need from you, or this is what I will accept. Because and I can't give you an absolute because it changes with whatever's happening in someone's life. But I think a boundary is paramount in anyone's situation.
A boundary is not a boundary unless people can suffer from crossing it.
Absolutely. And I mean, we have consequences when we do things that other people say to us, if you do this, I will do this, or I'll do that. Then why can't we have the same measure where we say, okay, cool. And if I have this boundary and you don't respect it, there's a consequence. And people go, well, that's conditional love. Well, of course it is. There's no such thing as unconditional love in terms of a marriage or whatever, or a relationship, because you can't unconditionally love someone unless you expect to be hurt over and over and over again. Because it is a condition. I can't be with you for friendship. I can't be with you if I'm the only person extending a hand for us to get together. Or if I only listen to you and your problems, that's not a friendship. I need some help too. And so there's boundaries there. There's expectations. It's conditional. But we don't say things like, if you wear the color blue, then I'm out because I hate the color blue. Well, that's stupid, but it has to be something where, I want this to be an understanding between us. We've got to have parameters. Everybody does that.
I'm learning to be with myself. I'm learning to juggle down some things, some thoughts. I'm building boundaries. What else do I need to know to get in the groove? What is my next step to get in the groove?
What are things that you do well? So many times we concentrate on, I really need to work on this, and we look at all of our weaknesses and we think we got to improve our weaknesses. Well, of course, sure. But why not capitalize on our strengths? What do I do well? And then improve those. One of the things that I'll say when I'm speaking to people is like, stop trying to put more information in. Stop trying to put so much more talent in your life. Pull out what you already have. Work on that and improve that, because that is a natural ability you have, or it's something that you love to do. What's your strength? Or we start maybe in a relationship and we're very strong, but then we get worn down. What can you do to continue to stay strong? I'm real big on capitalizing on your strength. Of course, maybe have a piece of paper and you do strengths and weaknesses, but then look at your strengths and how can I capitalize on those and make them better for me?
I love it. So now I've gotten my strength list and I'm kind of leaning into my strength. What is number 5? Is there number 5? Is that the list like now after this? Yeah, the groove will start to kick in slowly. I want to get in the groove,
Yeah.
I am this corporate CTO, made money, company's great. I am leading teams and teams. I am I'm making things happen. But to be honest with you, Harriet, on the inside, at night, when I look myself in the mirror, I feel like I'm just existing. I feel like I have this title and I am Mrs. Amazing, but really, as Prima, I feel like I'm just existing. I am just. There isn't light in my heart. There isn't joy in my heart. The success is there. Everyone is clapping, but inside my heart, I'm like, I don't know. There is no glow. There is no groove. I don't feel myself. and you're helping me to kind of get back. So I have now created my strength list. What should I do next?
Yeah. So I always ask the question, when was the last time you felt happy? When was the last time you felt whole? When was
Mm.
the last time you felt like, wow, man, this is a great day? Not for your kids, not for your friends, not for, something, but when were you just like, man, I am living the life?
Mm.
Or or when did you walk away just feeling fulfilled? And it's really hard for a lot of people to come up with that because
Mm.
they've been on autopilot for so long, you
Mm.
know. And we've had a kind of some of that here with my family, because with me especially, because I travel, or when I come home there's a lot
Mm.
going on and I got to take care of people, and my husband's had some medical issues and just a lot of stuff happening. And I realized that there was nothing I was doing that made me feel just like accomplished, happy. And I'm talking all personally.
Mm.
What was I missing? And I remember when, like, we bought this house, um, everything broke pretty much. And instead of doing interior design, or instead of doing landscaping and all this stuff that we thought we could do, we were paying for like new air conditioners and new, garage doors and things like that. And it was draining us.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden one day I was like, you know what? I used to love flowers. My husband and I have only been married 7 years, and this was a new house. Well, my son and I had lived at this one house for 17 years, from the time he was 3 months old. And it was the house that I'd had with my ex-husband. And Andrew saw some flowers in our backyard here. And he said, Mom, those are the flowers you always planted when I was little. I was like, Mom, those are the ones that we always had. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my goodness, that is when I felt happy. It was my time. It was my direction. I planted flowers. I did landscaping. And when I mean landscaping, it's mainly just like planting flowers and gardening. And I've started doing that again within the last couple of months. And I feel more calm. I think that is one of the things. When you're doing things that you love, you will feel calm. You will start to feel free. You will, I mean, now has my husband said, Harriet, you cannot buy any more dirt. Come on. Yes, because there are limits, but I said to him, because that's not a big deal to him. And sometimes he'd be like, why are you spending money on that? Well, because I want
Mm.
to, because I need to. And when he finally understood that, he was like, total support. Um,
Wow.
and so, what is it that you used to love to do? What is the last time you felt happy? And that really is a tough exercise. And it takes more than just a little bit of time to get through that, because a lot of people forgot. I mean, I forget sometimes of what I used to love to do,
Mm.
because you're so busy doing other things. And the greatest part about the internet is, people go, well, I don't have any money to take those classes. Okay, fine. Do it from YouTube. There's a lot of free courses. There's all kinds of stuff you can learn now, and certifications even, that you can get without spending one dime, except for
Mm.
the internet. You just have to look for it.
So
So,
start to think about what you really love and start doing just one of those things.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, something even so little, I just thought about this. Um, I didn't even realize how much I like birds. Now, I'm not going to watch birds like go,
Mm.
with binoculars or anything, but my mom gave me a bird feeder for my birthday. And I've kind of come obsessed with watching the birds out my window, feeding the birds. Just a little bit, just a little activity that I do every single day. That
Mm.
then we have this big picture window in our kitchen that I can look out and I can watch the birds. It's weird how that just kind of calming thing. My sister is real into natural, and foods and all this kind of stuff. Just, I think she would have been a great hippie, but she is big on grounding. Take your shoes off, walk outside, get one with the earth. And at first I was like, oh my goodness, Jeannie, that's ridiculous. But it's true. Take a walk, take your shoes off, get in the grass. Oh, I don't like the way it feels. Do it anyway. Come on. Yeah. Get back to when my husband, so he's Italian, he's loud and stuff, and he'll get real anxious, and I I started a thing with my whole family does it now. It's like center and breathe, Jim. Center and breathe. And we all do that.
I love that. Center and breathe. I think that is the same thing I would say will help with the first point, which is turn off the music, center
Yeah.
and breathe.
Right.
I like
Yeah.
it. That is how we get still, center and breathe. That's
Mhm.
so helpful. So helpful.
Well, it's funny because I just thought of this too as we were talking is I've known Jim, my husband, since college.
Mm.
Paths crossed different ways and stuff, but Jim is very intimidating, can be very intimidating. He can be
Mm.
very loud. He's not known for his mild and meek ways in any stretch of the imagination. Um, and he's always been able to be a top dog because it's easy for him to intimidate people.
Mm.
And certain things will happen and he would go, well, I'm Jim Magnini. Well, I'm Jim Magnini. Well, one day when before we were married, we were having an argument in his bedroom. We had the door shut because his kids were there. They're both teenagers. And Gian, his son, said it was so funny. Later on, he goes, "Oh my gosh, Dad, you have met your match." And he goes, "What do you mean?" He said, "I heard you say to Harriet, I heard you and Harriet arguing." He said, "And I heard her say, well, you may be Jim Magnini, but I'm Harriet Turk." It was like, yeah, man, I'm just as important as you are. But we're around people sometimes who put us down. Now he wouldn't put me down, but it was just like they're so intimidating or they're so loud that we think, okay, I'll just back off. No, man, rise up. Rise up. Just like if somebody was hurting your child or if somebody was hurting your friend or your
Mm.
family member, you rise up and be just as strong for yourself.
I like it. My husband is a barrister. I know
Right.
he's a barrister and a very good one. You will not win an argument with him. And so when he becomes a barrister, I pause, I look at him and I stop talking. And he says, what's wrong? And I say, you may be a barrister, but right now I need my husband. I
Right.
did not marry you to be in a courtroom every day. And so if you want to talk to me as my husband, let's talk. If you want to be the barrister, I think you need to go talk to somebody else. And
Yeah.
that always calms things down. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm like, yeah, you will not ballista me. And so I think you really need to speak up for yourself. I love what you're saying. Like, you may be the mayor, but hey, I am
Yeah.
Harriet Talk.
Exactly. Well, and we hadn't been going out maybe a month, and we went to a rugby game. Both of our kids played rugby. The boys played rugby. We went to a rugby game. I drove, and he was being real mean to me for something stupid. It was stupid in my mind, and I understood later why it was really bothersome to him. But he was being real mean to me, and he wouldn't talk to me during the game or anything. And so I left. And he called me later and he was like, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm home." He goes, "What do you mean you're at home?" I said, "I left. You weren't talking to me. My son was on the A team. Jan was on the younger team. So he had to stay longer." And I said, "I'm at home." He goes, "How am I supposed to get home?" And this has become a saying in our home. And I'm sorry because I'll say a word, but I said, "Well, you can Uber your ass home." And he just sat there and he goes, "No, really, come on." And I'm like, "No, I'm not coming back up there." you know, and it was so wild. So that's become a saying. And wow, what am I supposed to do? You can Uber your ass home. You can Uber your ass there. Because it's like this is what I will accept. And when you're not talking to me, I'm not going to be your chauffeur. You
Mm.
know, so now have I always been that strong with him? No. There's lots of times when I've not been, when I wish I had been. But so that's why we can't always expect perfection in ourselves. It's a roller coaster. So we've got to go back to, just continue to go back to the core of who we are. And a lot of times we forget who
Mm.
we are. Shoot, I've done like personality assessments or assessments with people, and I have to go ask 5 to 10 people, describe me.
Mm.
And there's certain parameters, and I do that with people now as I get them to go and talk to people, what are adjectives that people use to describe you, and what are
Mm.
some things that matter. And it's interesting how we always have a pattern with people of how they see us, and sometimes we think it's dead on, and other times we're like, you know what, they're right. I wish I wasn't
Mm.
doing this.
I feel like my groove is back. Is there more? Or like, yeah, now you're in your groove. We can talk about other things. Is there another thing to do? Or this is like
Yeah.
start.
So yeah, now you're back in your groove. Great.
Mm.
What are you going to do to stay there? What are you going to do to continue to grow? Like you were saying with your husband, I want him to grow, because if you stay in that thing going, man, I got my groove back. But if you stay there, you'll end up being the same way that you were before. You got to continually grow, go to the next level, go to the next level. And that is why it's continual work. Remember Zig Ziglar, who was a famous motivational speaker. I remember one time he said, you take a bath every day. I mean, you can take a bath one day and go, I'm clean, but you got to take a bath every day or every so often because you don't stay clean. You've got to continue the work. And so that's it. You got your groove back. Awesome. What are you going to do to continue to grow? And there's a whole nother process in that way too. So.
I love where this is going so far. The reason I wanted Harriet on is because she's really amazing. She takes these women, helps them get their groove. And the next chapter is, now that you're excited, let's talk about you being an amazing speaker, because Harriet is the coach of speakers. But I wanted us to go through this groove process, because without a groove, what are we talking about? I believe a big part of what Harriet does is ignite that spark, bring that light, bring that joy, so that when the person steps on stage to speak, they're not speaking to impress anyone. They're just being them. And that is how you feel like you're so connected to a speaker. You want to hug them, but you don't know why. And so I want to, first of all, recap from what we've covered so far. Harriet believes that until you get in the groove, you're just existing. And that may be okay with you, but for most people, they want to thrive. They don't want to exist. They don't want to be a number. You don't want to die. And everyone is saying, oh, she was Mrs. Pompous. She was married to Pompous. Most of us don't want that. You want to be the person you are. When I'm dead, I want people to say, oh, she was Prima. She built the world's best kept secret. She interviewed speakers. She brought amazing people on the podcast. She changed lives. That's what I want to hear. I don't want to be Mrs. Jope.
Right.
That's amazing, but that's not all about me. And so we've gone through the steps of moving from where you're at, burnt down, unhappy, the place where you feel like, you know what, I feel like I'm just existing right now, to a place where you're like, the groove is here. What do we do? Where is the party? You're ready to dance. And then after that, now that you start to feel good, now you start to feel less overwhelmed. Now people start to respect you. Now you're actually feeling good in your body. There's another process, but I'm not going to go to that process. That will be another topic for another day. The way that I feel when I listen to Harriet speaking, I feel like I'm in the kitchen with her. And I feel like we're having a coffee or a tea or a wine or whatever. And I feel like we're having such a great conversation. Harriet, I want to take you to the speaking, the thing you do about speaking. How did you get into the speaking? Or what is wrong with the speaking industry right now?
So the way I got into it was when I was a youth programs coordinator, I was asked to speak at schools around the state, mainly like highway safety, wear your seatbelt, don't drink and drive, those kind of things, and leadership as well, activating your community to do healthy things. And I was super nervous. I didn't really like it. In fact, when I was in college in speech, I did not do well at all because I didn't care about what I was talking about. But then I also put on conferences and I hired speakers to come in. And I was the MC for those conferences. And slowly, some of them would say, you should be doing this. There's not very many women doing it. And I'd start laughing and go, oh, no, I could never be a speaker. And then I started listening to a lot of the speaker stories. And at that time, there was a lot of alcohol and drug prevention programs. A lot of them were covering addicts, or they had been in the NFL, National Football League, or they had done, amazing things like sung at Carnegie Hall, and just things that were something I would never do. And all of a sudden I thought about, what about the kids like me who have never used drugs, who will never play professional sports, who are just everyday people with everyday issues, and they just want to fit in. Whether you're a teenager, whether you're an adult, you just have regular issues. And so I went back to a couple of those speakers that said they could help me, and they did. And I just started feeling so awesome when I would speak, because I was speaking from things that really mattered to me. When I was doing things for a grade in college, I didn't care. At the university, it was different. That was for a grade. But when I really had enthusiasm about what I was talking about, I wanted to do it. Now, here's the other thing. I don't sing. I can dance, but I'm not going to do it on stage. Like I said, I don't have like a hook that I could do to just bam people.
To become a guest on the World's Best Kept Secret podcast, simply go to primajope.com and select Become a Guest.
So I just started talking, and people started responding, and it was weird. And it was weird because when I would speak to teenagers, I wasn't that much older than them, maybe like 10 years. And they go, "Oh my gosh, you would be such a cool mom," or "You would be like a great big sister," or "Wow, how did you just get to be so laid back?" And it was wild because people were responding to a different way of speaking. I have humor, but I'm not a humorist. I am not necessarily an expert in something that I can teach you. I just have a wide array of experience and education, and I view the world in some ways differently than I think a lot of other people do. And so I just want you to hear my words, and then let's walk out there and do something different, feel differently, and do something differently. I'm not speaking because I just want to impart my wisdom and then you walk out of there and go, "Oh, she was amazing." No, I want you to walk out of there and go, "Wow, I can go do this." And the way that I connect with people is just to talk. I can also see what hits people in certain audiences. Like if I'm speaking for 10,000 people, I can't really see a lot of people. But if it's a smaller room too, I can see what hits people and what affects them. So I try to build on that as well. Yeah, I don't have the, "All right, let's get it back." I don't have those kind of programs. Those kind of scare me, actually. And I'm not going to make you turn around and talk to your neighbor, because I don't like doing that. Unless there's a real purpose. And, I do a lot of interaction and engaging, but I do it to where it's low risk, not always high risk, because some people don't want to volunteer. Some people don't want to clap and sing and dance. They just want to sit and listen. So that's what I try to do, is just, let's have some fun here.
When I first understood about your speaking business, I was fascinated because a lot of people are like, "Let's get you some money. Let's market for you. Let's get you on the stages. Let's do all these magical things. Let's get you on the top of the cover. Let's get you into women. I don't know. Let's get you in front of people." And you, on your website, you were like, "Yeah, that's all is amazing. But who is stopping to help you become a better speaker?"
When I started, it was just a group of people that wanted to make a difference. I didn't know anything about how much money I could make or anything like that. There were just people who wanted to speak. And then somehow over the past 10, 15 years, people have started doing this coaching programs, and it all that I can see, all of them concentrate on how much money you can make, get on big stages and make, thousands of dollars and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, man, they are forgetting the whole core of this profession, which is to change lives. So if you cannot get on stage and deliver a good presentation, then great. You may have the best website, the best marketing plan. You are phenomenal with business and you get tons of clients. I can guarantee you that you will not be rehired by those clients if you're not good on stage. And if you push yourself onto people they're going to get sick of you because there's so many speakers now trying to vie for the stage. But my thing is, when you're good on stage, people will remember who you are and they will recommend you for other things. But we've forgotten that is what really matters. And your financial reward comes from you being good on stage. When I started coaching, one of the very first people that was interested in me coaching him called me and he said, "So how much money did you make last year?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" He said, "How much money did you make last year?" I said, "Why are you asking me that question?" He goes, "Because I want to make sure that you're the caliber of coach that I want to be." And I was like, "Well, I can tell you right now that I'm not, because I don't care about getting you set up for a certain amount of money. I care about you delivering a message that actually impacts people." And he was like, "Well, why won't you tell me how much you made?" And I said, "First of all, that's rude. And secondly, because that's not why I do this. And obviously that's what's important to you. Now, do I want to make a living at this? Absolutely. But if that's my motivation is money, get it." So yeah, my coaching program is everything to do with you and developing the craft so it's authentic to you. How can you make an impact with people, and how can you leave a lasting impression with people? It's all about the craft. But I'll work with you on the business and marketing after we get the foundation. But there's a few Facebook groups that I'm a part of that are speaker things. One of them, I'll never forget. This guy was like, he posted, he's like, "I'm so excited. So-and-so just booked me and it's a $10,000 gig and I sold it. Yes. Okay. Can people help me with, how do I develop a presentation about this?" I was like, "You have got to be kidding." And people are like, "You can do this, just go to the library and look." And I thought, are you kidding me? Because I do not want to fly on a plane when the pilot read a book from the library and thought he could fly a plane. Or my surgeon has better been at the top of her class when she's going to cut on me. But for some reason, sometimes speakers think, I can just sell my business and I will make $1,000, or whatever it is. And they don't have any expertise. My thing is, what you earned the right to speak about. And if you can't tell me what you've earned the right to speak about, then you're not ready.
Wow. That's powerful. Like, oh my God. I had so much to digest. I've written a page. And, I love Harriet because she has created a successful business as a speaker. And she will tell you the marketing and selling has never been her thing. All of her business is referral business. All of her business is because somebody saw her speaking and decided to recommend her. And that hits me because we all think we need this marketing plan and this selling plan and this whole speech. And the way she looks at it is just have something that is memorable for people. Just have something that touches people. I want to go down that path. Like, how should new speakers, or how should speakers who feel like, well, I made $10,000, they never called me back, or maybe I made this one-time speaking gig and now I feel like my pipeline is dry, or people who are struggling as speakers and they've never stopped to think about it like that. I want you to speak in their life. If I was thinking, I want to speak, I want to build the business of speaking, I want to make so much money speaking, however people are thinking about it right now, I want you to speak. What advice do you have for us who are like, yeah, I want to speak, I want to change lives? Because what you said is so important for me. Like, I have invited people to speak on this stage, or people have said, I want to be on the world's best kept secret. And I've said, amazing. This is how we do it. Get into the 20 minutes and let's chat around your message. Let me understand it. Let me see how to position it. And it is amazing how many people come in and they're like, how many downloads did you get? And I'm like, excuse me? How many downloads did you get? And I'm like, I'm not even clear you have a message. Exactly. And I can tell you, Harriet, today that when I have 1 million downloads tomorrow, I don't care who you are. If you come and ask me how many downloads do you get, you're not a fit for this stage.
Absolutely.
People who have the motive of how many downloads do you get and how many shares do you get. I just feel like even if I had tens of millions of downloads, I would never say I would never take you on. And this stage is new and it's starting. And anyone who asks me that question, I'm like, I don't think you're fit for the stage. In your opinion, what could you advise having done this for, is it 10, 15 years or how many?
Well, I've been a speaker for like 28 years, but I've
Whoa.
been a coach for about 12. So
28 years speaking.
yeah.
I don't know about you. When she started speaking, I didn't know my second name. What advice, what advice do you have for us who have been brought up, nurtured, educated in this system of, yeah, you can charge 20,000 for a keynote and you can market it and you can sell it and you can be on Grant Cardone stage. How should we, or what would you advise for us who are like, I know how to market, I know how to sell, I need to take myself on the big stage? How would you advise us?
I think, first of all, speak, and this is very controversial. A lot of people do not agree with this, but I don't care. Speak as many places as you can for free so that you get experience, that you know what works, that you know what doesn't work. Because just because it sounds good on paper, just because it sounds good as you're practicing in a mirror, does not mean that people are going to resonate with it. And different places, different personalities, one group may just laugh out loud at something, and another group may be super impacted and emotional about another one of your points, and then it will bomb somewhere else. One of my mentors said to me when I first started, he was like, the thing that keeps you humble in this business is you will walk on water for 10 of your presentations and you will think, I am the bomb.com. And on your 12th presentation, you are going to bomb bigger than life and you will have no idea why. And that's true. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it's you, sometimes it's them. It just happens. So you've got to get your foundation set and know that it works. Then here's something that a lot of people don't think about. So let's say that a national association of, I don't know, let's just say home builders, National Association of Home Builders hires you for a conference and you are on their national stage and you are not ready, but you believe you're ready because you want so badly to be a speaker and you want so badly to make that money. So you take that national platform because you have sold them on who you are and you bomb. Do you understand that you have bombed in front of a national conference, which means no state home builder is going to bring you in? Not only that, but no regional home association is going to build you in. Maybe their sponsors were there. They're not going to bring you in. And meeting planners talk. And that is the one thing that I have got to get through to people when they first start working with me is I used to be a part of that. I used to be a meeting planner. I hired speakers. And there was one person that we hired within a network. There were 5 of us, and we were also friends, completely different states. And this person was going to go from one state to another. Before they left one state, that meeting planner was calling another one going, oh my gosh, they are horrible behind stage. They are horrible to work with. They're great on stage, but they are so horrible to work with that I will never hire them again. And I needed to prepare you for that. When that person came to my conference, I did the exact same thing. I called the next meeting planner and I said, oh my goodness, this person is a nightmare. That person never worked within that our network again, because all of us said, fabulous on stage, nightmare to work with. People don't understand that meeting planners talk and they call each other and they say, who did you have? Who was good? Or let's say that you you want this gig so badly. And so let's just make up numbers. So you say your fee's $500, but for this organization, you're going to give them a break because you want in there for $100. Well, then you don't realize that that meeting planner is going to go, oh yeah, the fee's 500, but they'll really do it for 100.
Mm.
And you understand, why are you not commanding your fee? Well, because meeting planners talk. So if you're going to negotiate, I teach people how to do quid pro quo, which means it
Mm.
works for both of us. If I
Mm.
give you this, then you give me something back, rather than just negotiating to make them happy. Now, are there times that you negotiate because you want to get on that stage? Absolutely. But there are parameters, but my big thing is, don't get on the big stages until you're ready. Do the smaller workshops, do the trainings, do the smaller stages until you are ready. And then when you're ready, it all falls into place.
Mm.
And I've put myself in stages where I should not have put myself, when I first started. And it took me a long time to recover from those, with those organizations. We all
So,
do it because we're so excited.
so what
But
you're saying is getting the reps. Otherwise, you will kill your career before you ever take off. If the meeting planners start saying you're horrible, or you don't know what you're talking about, or you're just a nightmare to work with behind the scenes, if you start getting bad word of mouth, that's an ad running against your business. I'm
Mhm.
taking notes, Harriet. What do I need to know today to be successful in the business of speaking? Because I believe that you've been fabulous with it. What else do I need to know as I'm preparing myself to be a better speaker, or I'm already speaking? How do I do that damage control on my speaking business?
There are a few things. A lot of speakers rely on technology, and then
Mm.
technology fails, and then they don't
Mm.
have a presentation, or they're lost.
Mm.
Uh, be able to do your presentation without technology. What can you do to fill in? Are you
Mm.
adaptable? Are you flexible? If you can tell some material's not hitting, do you have enough material that you can pivot at a second's notice?
Mm.
What are you doing to engage people? People want engagement now. They don't want to sit and listen to a speaker. They want engagement, whether it's participating, whether it's polls, that you can do online. That I did that polls, because you've got speakers and technology a lot of times where they'll do real time polls. There are some where they have real time Twitter feeds, so if you're not good, you'll know about it immediately.
Mm.
Uh, what can you do to engage people? One thing that I always say when people are starting out with me is, here's the thing: for a 45-minute presentation, you
Mm.
need 90 minutes of material that you can deliver in 30 minutes, because agendas change, speakers don't show up, they run late, they run long, they run short, and they may ask you to fill in. If you've
Mm.
come prepared for a 45-minute presentation and you have nothing else to offer them,
Mm.
how can you really bill yourself as an expert?
Mm. That's powerful.
So I teach people how to have extra material that's
Mm.
just as valuable than their core presentation.
Take me through a new speaker. Like, I have not done real stages. Like, I've not jumped on a stage and done all of the things. So I have no idea. You're one of the people that when I'm ready for that, I have to come and take lessons. What does that process look like of taking Prima from, she's been behind the mic, but now she's on a stage and she's like, what am I doing? What does that stage look like from I have no idea how to get on that physical stage and do it to, hmm, I think I could be the bomb.com and whatever else, which is, I think you show people how to become the bomb.com of speaking. What does that
I
process look
try.
like?
Well, I talk to them a lot about the calm confidence on stage, and how to do, your body, your present.
Mm-hmm.
How are you presenting on stage?
Mm-hmm.
What are you wearing? Are you
Mm-hmm.
distracting?
Mm-hmm.
Just little things like that, or like how to walk, let's say, to this side of the stage, but
Mm.
look the opposite way. You
Mm.
know, what are you doing to capture each side of the stage? Because a lot
Mm.
of people speak just for the center, and they forget about the people over here and
Mm.
here. So that is one thing. I've got so many little tips, and some of them is strictly because I learned the hard way.
Mm.
When let's say you're on a big stage and you know how the sections meet together, like they put the stage together. Well, if you're a woman and you're wearing high heels, your heel, skinny little heel, can get caught in those sections where they come together, and you can walk out of your shoe because you can't get your shoe out. Has that happened to me? Absolutely. Has it happened to a lot of other women? Yes. If you like a headset, which I like a headset mic, well, a lot of the sound technicians, the majority are men. And when they give you the body pack, they'll say, "Oh, the clip is broken, just stick it in your pocket." A lot of women's clothing doesn't have pockets, whether it's pants or a dress. What am I supposed to do with it? So I have had to tape it to my back. I have had to, wrap it around my underwear. I mean, just crazy stuff, that I've had to do. Another thing as a woman, front closing bras. One time I was out on stage and I went like this.
Wow.
The bra opened up. Thankfully, I had on a blazer and you couldn't tell. But and those kind of things take away from your presentation because you're suddenly so focused on that. What are you wearing? What, little things that people don't even think to ask. How high is the stage? Where is the first row of people going to be? Because if I have on a dress and I am on a high stage, and it's not a revealing dress, but maybe it's right above my knee, if the audience is right there, they're going to be able to see up my dress. Are you wearing something that's the spotlight can't shine through? Men, do you sweat? What do you need to do? Maybe you need to wear one of those cool wicking t-shirts under your shirt so that you're not sweating. Or if you do sweat, do you have something to wipe your face? There's nothing worse than that. Or what can you do? There's so many things that people don't think about that don't necessarily apply to the speaking business, but it applies to how you present yourself and where your mindset is. Because if all you can do is think about the fact that your bra came open and you don't know what to do, and I've got to do hand movements or something, that's all I'm focusing on. I don't know. There's just so many little pieces that people don't think about that I work with people on.
I know that you have this thing you do, which is, first of all, let's get you back in the groove. We don't want a speaker who's just speaking for the money. We don't want a speaker who's just speaking for fame. We don't want a speaker who's just speaking to speak or to impress people. We want a speaker who is really excited about what they're talking about. And so I love that behind the scenes, you're helping people, first of all, bring the joy, bring the light. Like, what lights you up? And maybe that's what we need to be talking about. And so I love that you take people there, help them find their groove, and then help them speak from that place. Because I think that's really powerful. But I am trying to really understand that I understand the groove part, but then I'm trying to understand the context of the coaching business. What are the things that we are working on behind the scenes for the person who is now, I have my groove, I have my topic, I can't speak about the thing. I want to become a memorable speaker. I want to become a contagious speaker. When I speak to people, I want to be like you, Harriet. I want to feel like they're in my kitchen table or my dining table and we're just having a conversation. I want to feel like I'm not anxious. I want to feel like I am not trying hard. I want to feel like I'm not trying to please nobody. What are the things that you help women go through behind the scenes in the coaching program?
Well, I help people. Wait, do you mean like developing their presentation?
Like maybe I now understand that, we talk about the things that pros know that, amateurs don't. And that is the shoe, and that is the dress and how short it is. And that is, do you sweat or do you not? Like, I feel like those are things pros think about, which is the preparation, I think, is a pros thing that a lot of amateurs go, no, I'll wing it. Oh, I'll just be great. And you're like, no, you won't be great. Let's prepare to be great. So I like that is one of the components, and I love that. And I think it's so good. And I want to kind of understand what else are your women going through that, the typical person who is learning from a book and learning from Mr. Pompous, who never done this because you've done it for nearly 30 years. And I know that you have, that old broom that knows the corners. I feel like that's the business I feel like that's your coaching program. The old broom that knows, the woman that has been married for 49 years, and she can look at you and go, I think if, like my mother-in-law, I'll say something to her and she will say, Matt responds to praise. Is there anything he's doing well? And I'll be like, yeah. And then she'll be like, try and talk more about that. And the result may be that you get the other thing that you want.
Well, I'm helping them with how they create their story. When a lot of times people tell the details, I want them to be able to feel the details. And if I close my eyes and listen to them, can I see the surroundings? Do I understand the setting? Are they so descriptive that I don't have to watch their face to understand the story? Do they tell a story to the point where it makes me feel that then as I'm listening to them, I'm thinking how it applies to me? And like maybe I have not ever been homeless, but I could imagine how it would feel. How can I be descriptive and not tell this? A lot of times we'll go, well, and one day I did this and then I did that and then I did that. Well, that's great, but that's not taking me on a journey. And that is what every story does. It's supposed to take someone on a journey so that then at the end you can show them the point of the story and then how they can apply it to their own lives. And that is sometimes tough to, but it's so good because I can ask questions or I hear things and I'm like, wait, stop. One girl I coached, she's always said that it was so funny that, she came in with her agenda and that I was going to do this. And then I'd be like, wait, stop. That's a story. Just if we were talking, at lunch, or if we were just, I was like, why aren't you telling that story? Because we don't think some things are interesting because it's so much a part of us, but it really is interesting and it has a point. So I try to draw things out of people that enhance their presentation so that whether they're talking to 10 people or whether they're talking to 1,000 people, everyone can feel the story. And they don't have to have experienced that literally, but they can feel the experience that was told to them.
I love that, Harriet, because I feel like the business of speaking or speakers always have like a way they just know how to put in the stories where they go. Every time I listen to you on a podcast, I can extract how many stories you told, and I'm like, how does she remember these stories really quickly? And so that you're even telling the stories, it's like you're reliving the story, which is what I hear you saying. Like, we gotta tell the stories because when you look at it, people pay to go to the movies to watch stories. And so as a speaker, the better you are at storytelling, really, really, the better you can be as a speaker. What more can you share with us of how to tell better stories or how to be a better speaker? Or what else are these women getting from you as you work? What do you find that are the areas you're helping with them as you work with them? What are they missing?
A lot of them are missing the, gosh, I just keep saying the feeling, but they're missing the experience because they're trying to deliver. They're just trying to deliver value, which everybody needs, but they're doing it in a way that takes away the emotional part. And when I say emotional, I don't want to make people cry and all that. And you don't have to cheer, but the emotional part that makes people feel. And what's wild is that we think, men don't have a lot of emotions and stuff. Yes, they do. I tell this one story that gets more feedback from men than it does women, but it's something that happened to me. And that's the thing is you want to hit every person in your audience so that when they walk out of there, they go, wow, I felt like she was talking to me.
Mm.
So, can you look at other people's perspectives? Or if you tell a story and you have an idea of how you want it to hit, think about all the different personalities in your audience. How are you affecting them? And there's times when you're not going to hit every person, and that's okay, but that's why you have other stories. I used to tell a story about being a cheerleader, and it would drive me crazy because my mentors would say, well, I mean, that's only going to apply to the girls. And I was like, just like your story, only talking about playing in the NFL, only applies to the boys, at the time, it's not, we're just generalizing. But it's like, there's times that it's not going to hit. So what? There's times when it might be uncomfortable for your audience member. That's okay, because it might cause them to think differently or act differently. You cannot not worry about, and that's a double negative, but you cannot not think about offending people, but you also can't think about that someone's going to hate you if you do. I don't want to say offend, but everybody's got something that they are more sensitive about. You cannot cover every gamut and every topic of that. But when you speak from the heart, it really, there's some grace that comes from your audience members. And so again, like if you're authentic, it's just such a process to get people to get to the point where they realize that they're imparting content and education, but then they're also doing entertainment. I mean, my presentations are not less like emotional filled, and when I see people in tears, sometimes it's kind of unsettling for me because I don't understand what I'm saying that is affecting them in that manner. But that also means that I hit them. We have a lot of fun, and I can tell sometimes people are like, I don't want to get up and do this. Well, too bad. We're gonna, because when you're uncomfortable doing something, it also helps you grow. I don't make people do an activity just for the sake of them doing an activity. There's always a purpose. And so you have to know what your purpose is for people.
How do I get out of the mindset of I'm on a stage performing, speaking, to what you're doing, which is we're together, you just on the other side of the table, we're at the kitchen table, and we're having a conversation, and I want to talk to you, and I'm interested. When you said be authentic, I can see what you mean, but how do you, Harriet, become so authentic that people feel like, oh my God, there's something about this speaker. Help
don't know.
me.
I think it's just me.
Help
I think it's just me. I mean, we've all got certain things that I had to realize that was kind of a gift. And over and over again, I realized that I can be the dissenting voice sometimes. People see everything one way, and I see it completely differently. I learned that, and I learned that from practicing, and I learned that from speaking, and I learned what gifts I have, and it took a long time. So, we're all, I mean, when I'm up on stage, I don't want you to think that I'm not trying to perform, because it's a different personality. I am performing. And at the same time, I'm performing as Harriet, confident, Harriet, professional, Harriet, expert. I've earned the right to speak about what I'm speaking about. So I don't have to be a certain way for you to listen to me, because the words and the way that I put the words together, that's where the impact is.
I like it. I think from all that Harriet is saying, what I'm picking is when you put in the reps, when you gain the right to speak about something, it allows you to just be you, and those who want it, those who don't want it, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
When you're speaking from the school of hard knocks, when you're speaking from your lessons, when you're speaking about something you've paid with tears, frustrations to learn, there's no need to verify yourself. I think the word I get from Harriet right now is, when you know what you bring to the table, you're not afraid to eat alone.
Oh, I like that. Prima, that's awesome. Yeah, true. That's true. Yeah.
That's what I get. Like, at some point, you just get to know what you bring to the table, and you know you're qualified, and you know people will benefit from it. And so you have less desire in, like me, listen to me, let me qualify myself. And you're more like, this message will hit the person that is supposed to be affected by it. And I can only control what I can control. I can control everything. And that is okay.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I have listened. I have taken so much notes up to this point. I believe that the lesson I've learned is, you cannot do the reps. You have to do the reps. The more you do, the more you learn. The more you do, the more comfortable you become. The more you do, the more confident you become. Yeah. And great pros, great speakers don't necessarily not do the basics. I think from what she started with, a great speaker is one who can remember, what's the button of my dress? What am I wearing on the inside? How short is my dress? Do I sweat? Do I not sweat? What about the microphone? Those little things is the difference between the speaker that is memorable and the speaker that is not. And what I've really learned is that people talk.
Oh, yes.
Meeting organizers talk. And so if you want to kill your career before it ever started, start to play the game, talk about things you don't understand, be a nightmare behind the scenes to work with. And you may as well have committed career suicide. Harriet, I have had fun. What did I miss? What do you want to add that, this is so important, I want to add it? What did I miss?
I don't know. I think you totally encompassed me, but I just really think when you want to be a speaker, there has to be a reason besides money. I mean, when I want to be an accountant, it's not because I'm going to make a lot of money. It's because I like numbers and I want to do things, with numbers and help people. When I'm a nurse, it's not because, I make a lot of money and work 3 or 4 days a week. It's because I want to help people. Everybody has to have that. What is, Simon Sinek, the why? Why are you doing what you do? I'll never forget when I went on one of my very first flights as a flight attendant, and I was so excited. And I came on the plane, and the lead flight attendant was right there. And I said, "Hey, I'm Harriet. I am on your crew for this trip." And she said, "You must be new." And I said, "Why do you say that?" And she goes, "Because you're still smiling." Oh, and I thought, wow, that woman has forgotten why she did what she is doing. Because yes, I was new. Yes, I was still smiling. And I smiled until the day that I left being a flight attendant. I loved that job. And if you don't love what you're doing, you can always change. I told you how many different careers I've had. You have to know why you're doing what you're doing. You have to love what you're doing so that you can make a difference. If you're not happy, you're going to be on autopilot. You're not going to be effective. And, what's the point?
What are you going to do then? I love what you're saying, because I have done many things, and the most successful things I've done are just created in flow. Like this World's Best Kept Secret podcast or stage, I just started doing it. And then I just loved interviewing people. And then I just loved experts who had amazing work and just weren't so bothered like Harriet. Harriet is known so bothered about marketing, selling. She's been speaking for 30, 38. It's all been referral. She's successful. And she says, she doesn't find the reason why she should be so loud about what she does, because she's so fabulous. And it hit me that I need to get these people and drag them and bring them on and force them to market, because the world needs more Harriet. Imagine how different Your life would be as a speaker if you could learn from someone who's done it 38 years, someone who's swept through all the corners, someone who's lived it, done it, the sweat, the tears, the frustration. They're not reading a book to teach you. They're not taking another course to teach you. They're just telling you, this is what I would do. These are the things that you're going to encounter. This is what I would begin to check. This is where to look. I don't know that there is a better way to become a better speaker than to sit with someone who's lived it all through their life and say, yeah, you know that thing over there. Just be a nice person to work with behind the scenes. Just do a good job at the stage when you actually get the microphone. Just do the reps. Just do the reps. I bring Harriet because I love her, because I think she teaches from the school of hard knocks. I love her because she's old school. And so you don't have to be the famous marketer to do this. You can still do it as she's done it by referral. I really like that she comes with so much wisdom. Harriet offers coaching. She takes people from burnt out, stressed, unhappy, just living, to a place where you're in the groove and you're speaking about the things that you love. There's out of that fulfillment, clients, money, you name it. But by hanging out with Harriet, I have come to appreciate the place for joy, the place for not just living, but feeling the life. And so if there is someone that would be a great coach when it comes to speaking, I would put my hand, Harriet.
Thank you.
Harriet, if I was listening in and going, I've been looking for someone to help me become a better speaker, and I love her. I love her. What should they do to take the next step? Or how should they connect with you? I'm not too sure if you're like much of a social media person and all of that. What is the next step? What should I do to have a conversation with you around, oh, I want to be a better speaker. Can you help me tell my story better? Can you help me tell better stories? Can you help me become amazing? What should they do to get started? Take step number one.
Well, they can go to my website and reach me there, email me, Harriet@harrietturk.com, and schedule a call through links, that I know you have. And so really there's all kinds of ways to find me, but Harriet Turk, and Harriet only has one T, and that's something that a lot of times people mess up on with my name. So there's all different ways to find me on the internet. If you put my name in there, you'll find me, and then you can reach out and we will talk about what it is that you want to do. That's one thing that I love, is that every one of my programs is customized. I don't have a standard program that works. I mean, I have a standard framework, but the content changes with the person, because every single person has different ways that they want to create their business. And yeah, I'm real connected with a lot of people, a lot of different industries. And that's one thing that I do, which I also think sets my business apart, is that I will connect people that I coach with others that they can either build their business with, or that they can be hired by, or that they can go and practice their material in front of an audience. And then those people come back and tell me feedback. So I just want, I'm not a turf guarder. I believe that there's enough business for everybody, and I want to help people get to where they want to be. So
the most thing I love about your business is the first question for me as a speaker has always been like, yeah, but it's going to put me on their stage to try, to learn, to practice. And I love that that's not a question with you. Like, you will get to practice as much as you want to. And even when you're ready to be paid for your keynote, she'll be there. She knows exactly who you need to be in front of. So I don't know how to start a speaking career than to be in a place where you get the craft. 2, you get the connections. 3, whenever you're ready, you get the speaking gigs. Like, I don't know which kind of marketing, which kind of noise that needs to be made. But for me, when I heard about her offer, it was my perfect offer. And I just knew that this is the kind of thing that I needed. That will be every link about Harriet, how to access her, how to schedule that call, how to email her, how to get to her website in the show notes. Be sure to scroll through that, whether you're on the podcast platform or on YouTube. The show notes will have every area to reach Harriet. It's been my absolute pleasure having you today. Thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Do you have any last words for the listener?
Just do your thing. We can make it work. Yeah.
My friend, you could have been on a million podcasts. You chose this one today. You chose to hang out with me and Harriet for the last, I don't know how many hours we've been talking. That is Harriet. Round table. You never know what time it is. That is what happened to me today. And so I'm so grateful that you hung out with us. You stayed with us. You listened to us. And if this was amazing for you and you loved it, and you know the one person that needs to meet Harriet, my ask is please share. Harriet would love to serve women that are successful, but they feel empty because they're just surviving. They feel like they're just living. They feel like they're just there. There's more inside them, and she want to help them activate their groove and help them step on the stage and start speaking about the things that light them up. So Thank you so much for your attention. Please share this episode with someone. And of course, rate the show. Of course, give us some amazing reviews, because the more the reviews, the bigger the game, the bigger the community, the bigger the impact. This spiral is endless, and I am so excited that you're part of it. That is it, my friend. To listen to more exclusive interviews like this one, simply go to the World's Best Kept Secret podcast.com and select interviews based on preferred topic.